The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's role play session with your host, Craig Proctor.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea. This is your opportunity to try to stump me with your objections. We're going to role play the universal callback script. I can be any type of buyer or seller prospect that you'd like me to be. So we'll try to make this as real as possible. Of course, you're also welcome to type in your questions, or we'll take audio questions as well. Completely live webinar, so you can do as you wish, or you can just sit back and listen to other people role play and get their questions asked. But we do encourage your participation. The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of these. So we're going to go over to our lovely operator, Andrea. Andrea, at this point, do we have any volunteers for role plays?
We have lots of hands raised, but we don't have any chat questions. So I want to remind everybody we'll take chat comments and questions. If you can't figure out how to raise your hand, you can also type in "I would like to role play" in the chat box. We have our first hand, Kara Smith. Please go ahead.
And I think we're looking at your desktop right now or something.
You are. For some reason, when I went to the follow-up script, a recording or something, an audio started, and the only way I could figure out how to stop it was to close down my internet completely. So I'm working on getting it back up.
Okay. No worries, no worries. Okay, so let's take our first role play.
Okay, Kara Smith, your line is open. You're not hearing any kind of feedback, Kara. Okay, you may want to try calling in on the telephone and then raising your hand again. We'll move on to Deborah Cohen. Your line is now open.
Hi, good morning. Do you hear me?
Yeah, good morning, Deborah. How are you doing on this lovely morning?
I'm wonderful, especially since our lead started to work last night. So now I'm in cloud 19, and I actually spoke to people for the first time this morning, so I'm very excited.
Isn't that exciting? They're calling you. They're contacting you. That's the way it should be.
Literally. We got like 5 within a couple hours. So,
well, we better talk about what to do with them.
Right, I know. Thanks to Jenny, she got me set up on the system, so now I've been logging in the notes, but literally fast and furious. I'll do anything because I need practice in whatever. We're posting for $199,000 and less first-time buyers.
Okay, so let's pretend that I'm a first-time buyer, and you're calling me, ring, ring, and I say hello.
Good morning. Is this Craig?
This is Craig, yes. Who's this?
Hi, Craig. This is Deborah Cohen with Related ISG, and the reason for my call is you requested a list for homes in Hollywood for $199,000 and less, and I put them in the email for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. Are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
We are. We're tired of renting, and we want to get into the market.
Okay, so are you planning on staying in the area or moving on out of the area?
We want to stay here probably within 20 minutes of where we are right now. We like it here. Kids have friends here, so definitely want to stay in the area.
That's great. And if you were to move, when do you think that might be?
I guess as soon as we find the perfect house.
Okay, and do you have a realtor to help you when that time is right?
You know, we were at an open house a couple weeks ago, and we met a realtor, and that she's been sending us emails of all the houses.
All right. Do you have a commitment to that realtor?
I don't know. She was nice. I don't like. You know, we haven't signed anything.
All right, because there are realtors and there are realtors, and there's a difference between how they operate. And if you would give me a chance, would be okay. I would love to be able to set up a time to meet with you and
I wouldn't say give me a chance. It sounds kind of desperate.
Okay.
Give me a chance sounds like it's definitely something for you, right? What you want to talk about is what's in it for them.
Okay.
And don't be afraid also when you said there's a tremendous difference between agents. Even though I'm a buyer, don't be afraid to say there's a big difference between agents and what they do and how much they charge to get the job done. Because many buyers, they don't understand that usually they don't pay anything, especially first-time buyers. So now if I'm the first-time buyer, I'm thinking, well, that probably makes sense. You know, I just met this other lady at an open house. You know, it's not like I, interviewed anybody. And you know, you're probably right. There is probably a big difference between agents and what they do and what they charge. And all you're trying to do is say, like, would you be open to meeting with me as well? You're not suggesting that I dump the other agent. Not yet, anyway.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I might be open to talking to you.
So would days or evenings be better?
Well, we work during the day, so evenings or weekends, I guess.
So can we meet maybe like 6 p.m. tomorrow night? Would that work?
Well, what are we meeting for?
I'd like to sit down with you.
You forgot to talk about that.
Oh, okay. So I would like to meet with you for 20 minutes, if possible, to take down exactly what you're looking for. Rather than email you hundreds of homes which may or may not match your criteria or risk missing out on the perfect one, if we can get together for about 20 minutes, I have a form to fill out and I can take down exactly what you're looking for.
Okay, so let me stop there for a minute. You kind of made a very common mistake. Do you notice that you talked about the commitment, the meeting, before you talked about the benefit?
Yes.
Right? So everyone write this down. It's always benefit before commitment. You always want to communicate the benefit before you ask for the commitment. So you started talking about, you know, when can we get together and then you started to talk about the benefit.
Got it.
Right? But if you look at the script, we get right into the benefit, which is, we went right into the meeting. So do the benefit. Read right at the beginning what it says.
Would you like me to email you your daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria from all real estate companies? Our list includes any bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, or other distressed sales. It's a free service, and of course, you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Well, the other agent is sending us the emails, so I guess we're getting all that now?
Yes, but I don't have an answer.
Okay, so this is going to be a very common objection for all of you, right? Here's what we know. We know that there's lots of places for the buyers to get information, right? Online, there's lots of websites they can go to, and they have probably met with other agents that are emailing them listings. So you might be thinking, well, you know, what do I have that's unique? So I suppose you could say, well, I guess if you're already getting the information from another agent, you don't need me, and goodbye. But we don't want to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to become really good at creating doubt. You're going to be a master of creating doubt. What we're going to leverage off here is the number one fear that all buyers have is that they're going to miss out on something. And frankly, that's why they are on, 8 different websites getting information and driving around through neighborhoods and reading 4 different newspapers and publications, and they've got 5 real estate agents emailing them listings, is they're terrified that they're going to miss out on something. So you want to play up on that fear. That's what you want. So it's going to sound something like this. I would say, well, would you like me to email you daily updates of all the homes that match your home buying criteria? My list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, and distress sales. It's absolutely free service. You're never obligated to do anything. Do you think that might interest you? Now, if they say, well, I'm already getting emails from another agent, I think I'm good. That's what they say. I think I'm good. I've got another agent or 2 or 3 other agents emailing me listings, or I'm on the internet. Here's how you want to handle that. I'm not sure what the other agent's sending you, but my list includes difficult to find properties. And now you can make this up, okay? Now, I don't want you to feel that you can't live up to this promise, because I'm going to show all of you how you can. But one of the things you could say is, you could say, I have access to pre-MLS listings. I have, right? Okay, so you work at a real estate office, right?
Right.
And it's possible that you could come into the office tomorrow morning, and one of your buddies at the office would say, you should see the house I listed last night. And if that was perfect for one of your buyers, before it's even on MLS, you would email your buyer about that, right?
Correct.
Now, I'm not suggesting other agents can't do this as well, but it's something that you can say. I can get you access to pre-MLS. I can get you access, what else? I don't know, maybe new construction homes, homes that have recently expired off the market, distress sales, vacant properties. So we want to make what we're offering sound unique, because if we don't make it sound unique, what's the opposite? It sounds the same as what they've already got.
Right.
So here's something it's important for all of us to recognize in real estate. I want everyone to think about this. In real estate, what we sell, houses, will never set us apart, because we all sell the same stuff, right? We all go to the same well for information called MLS. So what we sell will never set us apart. It's how we sell it. It's how we do what we do that's going to set us apart. So this is where I want to teach you guys how to be really good on the phone. So you're creating doubt in that buyer's mind, and the buyer's thinking, well, gee, you know, I am getting emails from that agent we met at the open house. However, this sounds pretty good. I don't know if I'm getting all these listings. And that's how you want to handle this. When they say, I'm already getting information from another agent, you want to respond with, hey, I'm not sure what the other agent's sending. Because it's true, you're not sure, right? I'm not sure what the other realtor's sending you, but my list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, distress sales, pre-MLS listings, really access to the best deals. It's absolutely free of charge, and you're never obligated to do anything. Do you think that might be helpful? How many buyers say no to that? Not many. And especially when you say, you know, it's free of charge. You're never obligated to do anything. The biggest fear that anybody has about any salesperson is fear of obligation or fear of cost. You know, it's going to cost me something to meet with a salesperson, or they're going to try to obligate me. So let's continue on with this script, and let's say when you say, okay, great, Craig, so when can we get together? What if I said to you, well, gee, you know, like I said, I work days, so it'd have to be in the nights or weekends. But look, I've got your contact information. Why don't I call you once I check my work schedule?
Craig, you know, I understand your concern about setting up a time, but I feel that since you're on the phone anyway, it would make sense to lock in a time, and then if you and your wife can't make that time, then I'd be happy to reschedule. But at least we've got each other on the phone. Let's get that taken care of, and then we can always reschedule if you can't make it. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, you know what, that wasn't bad, but it was a bit long-winded. I think we can cut it down to just say, hey, you know, like you've just come up with this genius idea. Hey, you know, since we're both on the phone now, why don't we at least set up a tentative time? Say maybe tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And if that doesn't work, if you find that doesn't work once you check your work schedule, give me a call and we can switch it to a different time. Because what you're trying to ascertain is this prospect actually sincere about meeting with you? Or are they just making this up? Oh, you know, I'd like to meet with you, but I got to check with my wife, right? I got to check my my work schedule. Because what you've come up with is, my objection was, hey, you know, I'd like to meet with you, but I don't know my work schedule. Or I need to talk to my wife. You have, in fact, come up with a reasonable solution to this problem, haven't you? You said, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we set up a tentative time? If that doesn't work, we can switch the time. If the prospect is sincere, that'll work. Or they might say, well, instead of Tuesday at 7, how about Wednesday at 7? So it's a litmus test. It's a good way to determine whether this is just some objection that the prospect's making up and they really sincerely don't want to meet with you, or we got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they do need to speak to their spouse or check their work schedule. Okay, so when I meet with you, okay, I'm back.
One minute, Craig.
Yeah.
If let's say you said to me, no, let me just get back to you, what would you answer them?
I would let them. I don't want to be too pushy, because I seem pushy now. Like if I well, you know, no, if they won't go for that, then I'm going to say, well, if I don't hear from you in a couple days, would it be okay if I followed up with you again? Now, what if they said no? well, probably tells you should move on to the next lead, right?
Right.
But if they're sincere, they'd say, okay. Now that gives you a perfect opportunity when you call them back. They can't be upset. They told you it was okay. We call this permission marketing.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm going to go back to the buyer now. I'm going to throw another one at you. So when I meet with you, do I have to sign anything?
No, you don't.
That's true, Devorah, right? They don't have to sign anything, nor do we have to continue working with them or showing them houses. But there is no obligation to sign when
Correct.
they meet with us. But what you decide from that point forward is up to you. And I'm suggesting that all of you, when you get really good at this, you're not going to have any time for buyers that are basically saying, I refuse to be loyal to you, because that's what happens. If you meet with them and you do a really good job at the presentation, you're saying, I'm going to do this and this and this, all this stuff for free, and all I ask in return is for your loyalty, and they say no, and I've got a ton of other buyers that'll say yes, well, I'd be foolish to spend time with somebody that's telling me up front that you can knock yourself out, I'm not going to be loyal.
By the way, what would you answer them at that point? Because you feel cocky enough that you know you have other buyers. Would you say that to them?
I would say, Devorah, that's the way I work. I work under a contractual agreement with clients, and if you change your mind, I would love to represent you. But there's lots of agents out there that will show you houses without representing you, and in fact, they represent the seller. I would try to handle all the objections, of course, but really what I'm saying to them, if I do my very best and they absolutely won't sign, I'm going to end it with saying, unfortunately, I can't work under these terms. They're just not a good fit. Is really, the deal. And it, just like when you meet with sellers, right? Devorah, when you meet with sellers, does every seller you meet with sign a listing agreement with you?
No.
Right, but that doesn't mean you stop trying to get listings. So just understand, it would be the same thing with buyers. Not every buyer that you folks meet with will agree to sign a buyer agency agreement. But I know one thing, if you meet with a seller and they wouldn't sign a listing agreement, you're not going to spend any time or money with that seller. So why should it be any different with buyers? And I'm going to argue we spend a lot more time with buyers than we do with sellers.
Correct.
You did a great job today, Devorah. Keep up the good work. I'm glad the leads are flowing in.
Finally. Thank you. Yes. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
You too. Let's go back to our lovely operator, Andrea, and see who's next.
Our next guest is Daniel Pilson. Your line is now open. And we also have some chats, so we can get to those after this role play session.
Certainly. Good morning,
Hi.
Daniel.
Good morning.
How are you on this beautiful Thursday morning?
Good. I guess you're hearing me okay, right?
Perfect.
Okay, great. So why don't you be a buyer, a move-up buyer?
Okay, I'm a move-up buyer. You're calling me, ring, ring, and I say hello.
Hi, is Craig there?
This is him?
I'm Dan Pilson from Remax, and the reason I'm calling is I had your request on my website for Torrance move-up buyers, and I provided that access and all the information. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, I received that information. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Are you folks planning to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
I don't know. We've been talking about it.
Do you currently rent or do you own?
We own our own house.
If you were going to, would you prefer to buy before listing your home, or do you want to sell first?
I think I'd probably want to find something first. Homes in our area are going really quickly, so I wouldn't want to sell and have nowhere to go to.
Are you planning to on staying in the area or moving out?
Oh, we want to stay here in the area.
And when do you think that might be?
Probably want to do something in the fall. I've got some vacation time here in the summer. I don't want to use my vacation time looking at homes, but once I get into the fall.
And do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
The realtor that sold us this house has done a pretty good job staying in touch. They send us a calendar every year, and they call us at Thanksgiving.
Well, would you like? I could email you updates of homes that will match your home buying criteria from all real estate companies.
Yeah,
And,
he's doing that right now. He's doing that for us.
Oh, he is. Well, my list includes unlisted properties, off-market properties, and properties that never show up sometimes in the MLS or even on the internet. And it's a free service, and and you're never obligated, of course, to buy anything. Would that interest you?
Well, Daniel, wouldn't that be the same information the other agent's sending me?
Well, I don't know what the other agent's sending you, but the list, we're the biggest broker in the South Bay.
Okay, they don't care about that. They don't care about that.
Okay.
So you're talking about yourself now.
All right. Our list includes.
Daniel, that would be like saying, I'm one of the best-looking realtors in the area.
Okay.
I've got a BMW 7 Series.
Okay.
My kids are on the honor roll. You see, that's what we're taught in real estate, right? We fall right back into talking about how great we are.
Right.
Okay, so always be focusing on them. So where are we on this? I'm saying the other realtor is already sending me this stuff. And you did a good job. You said, well, hey, honestly, I don't know what the other realtor is sending. Now you've got to repeat this again. You've got to differentiate yourself, my man.
Okay. Well, I don't know what the other agent's sending you, but my list will include off-market properties, distress sales, foreclosures, and other properties that actually never get onto the MLS or the internet.
Yeah, you might even want to start it off with just a broad category of difficult to find properties, including, and you list them off.
Okay.
Now, once you list them off, so my list includes difficult to find properties. Now you list off all the different categories: vacant homes, people that have been transferred, homes that have come off the market, homes that aren't even on the market yet. Okay, short sales, bank, whatever. You make that list sound delicious. Then what you end it with is, would you like to get information on those as well? So now, you're not asking me to choose between you and the guy that sold me the house, are you?
No.
Okay, if people don't have to choose, most people don't like to limit themselves, right? Most people like to expand their options. You want the prospect to feel like, hey, I'm in a pretty good situation here. I can keep getting the listings from the guy that sold me the house, and this Daniel guy will send me his list. Okay, no downside to that. All right, I'll take your list.
Okay, and when can we get together for about 15, 20 minutes so I can take down exactly what you're looking for? Would days or evenings be better?
Okay, now this is where the rod is going to set in, right? Everything's going along great. You're giving them free information. They like that. Now you've come back with the commitment. When can we meet? Well, why do we need to meet? Can't I just tell you what I'm looking for over the phone?
Well,
Or email it to you? I could email it to you.
Rather than emailing you hundreds of homes which may not match your criteria, or possibly even missing out on the perfect one or the best buy, if we can get together for a few minutes, I can I have a form which I can put down exactly what you're looking for, and make sure that in fact everything I send is going to be fitting your criteria. So
well, why don't you just send me the form then? I'll fill it out.
Look, I really want to do a good job for you.
Ah, that's it. Now, I like that. I want to do a good job for you. Rather than emailing you random, like dozens of homes and us missing out on one, I want to do a good job for you. How about this? Say this. I'm sure you have a great understanding of what you're looking for. I want to have that same great understanding, so we don't miss out on the perfect one. Boom. You go right to that, because that's their big fear, right? Holy cow, I don't want to miss on one. This Daniel guy, he's got me now because I really don't want to miss on one. And no buyer you talk to is ever going to argue the fact that, yeah, the realtor could probably do a better job if we sat down and talked about this. Now, if I fight you, Daniel, give me some examples. Give me some examples of stuff that if you didn't know certain things about me, homes that you might send me that might not be a good fit.
Well, I'm sure you probably wouldn't want homes that have aluminum wiring or formaldehyde.
Well, don't assume it. Ask it.
Okay.
For example, here, so I'll do it to you. For example, Daniel, would you be interested in homes that have aluminum wiring?
No.
What about formaldehyde insulation?
No.
Homes that have an oil tank buried in the backyard?
No.
So these are just a couple of quick examples of things I'd like to know about you, and we could cover during this conversation. Like I said, there's 72 fields that I type in, so we do a really good job. But 15 minutes of your time, and you and I could get to know each other. I could get to learn a lot about exactly what you're looking for and what you're not interested in, and you'll have an opportunity to meet me and see if I'm even the kind of person you'd like to work with. All upside.
Right.
Right now it sounds kind of friendly, and like here's what we have to remember. I think you guys have heard me say this, right? Do you know that every day people will take time off work to go get their teeth cleaned? They'll do that. So you're telling me that a buyer doesn't think it's important when they're going to go buy the biggest thing in their entire lives to spend 15 minutes meeting with a realtor? They'll spend an hour go getting their teeth cleaned, but they won't spend 15 minutes coming in and talk to you, Dan. It doesn't make sense. Also, think about this. Every single buyer in the country eventually meets with a real estate agent, unless they maybe buy new construction or for sale by owner. But they all meet with a realtor eventually, so why not you and why not right now? Okay, well, look, I'm back to the buyer now. All right, Daniel, it sounds good. So look, I got to check with my wife and find a good time to meet with you.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we just set up something, say for tomorrow evening around 7? And if that doesn't fit, you and your wife's schedule, why don't you give me a call and we can just change it?
I can't commit to that. I've got your contact information. Why don't I'll call you when I'm ready.
Well, I'll tell you what. Is usually evenings better for
We
you?
work during the day, so it'd have to be evenings or weekends.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we make it, say, Saturday, say in the morning or in the day around say 10 o'clock, and then I'll just pencil that in. I'll send you the information, and you can call me if that isn't a good time.
I'd actually prefer to check with my wife, make sure that's a good time, and call you back. Is that okay?
Well, can't we? I'll just pencil in. Why don't we just pencil it in for Saturday morning?
Too pushy.
Okay. That's fine.
I like how you fought for it. That's good. You fought for it once, but when I push back again, I think you're probably doing more. I think you're crossing the line. So how are you going to handle that then? So I've agreed to call you. Are you just going to believe that I'm going to call you back and end the conversation?
Okay. Is it okay?
If I don't hear from you, would it be okay if I follow up with you at a later time?
Right.
You're right now. If the guy says no, then you got to call BS on this. It's like, okay, you ain't ever going to call me back, are you? Because you're saying the guy says, prospect says he's going to call you back. You fought for Tuesday, you fought for Saturday. I'm saying at this point you want to say, okay, well, look, would it be okay if I followed up with you? If I don't hear back from you, if I follow up with you? If he says yes, then the obvious next question is, and when would be a good time for me to do that? If they say no, then I think you got a problem. You might want to try an insurance call, but I think they're probably telling you the answer is no.
Okay, right. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, Daniel, the answer will be no.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to find out no as early as possible. Would you rather find out the answer is no now, or the answer is no a month from now after you've showed them 24 homes?
Now.
You got it. You did a good job.
Thanks.
Very good, Daniel. All right, we're going to take some chat questions now.
Yes, we are. Are you going to ask them, or would you like me to?
You look at them. Hang on one second. I'm just going to grab some water. 1 second.
Okay.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. You want me to go ahead and read one, or do you want to take it?
Go ahead and read me the first one.
Okay. It's from Larry. Couldn't we say, and is it as an objection handler, that we can work on getting updates of homes that include expireds and off-market listings that their current realtor may not be sending them?
Well, why are we saying they have a realtor, their current realtor? I would just, at best, refer to it as another agent. Current sounds like they're working with somebody. And if they're not committed, it's just another agent. You want to, Larry, the key is you need to feel comfortable with what you say, but it needs to sound, I don't know, delicious. That's a good word.
And Larry wants to clarify before you go on that this was for the open house objection.
I'm sorry, what was the open house objection?
I believe it was one of the first role plays you did.
Well, I simply said we met an agent at an open house, and that agent is sending us listings. So in the script, I have the basics of what you're going to say. Andrew, maybe you can highlight that under the buy first offer. Okay, our list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, and distress sales. Now, you folks can embellish that. I've given you ideas of things you could add to that. Pre-MLS listings is something we talked about. Okay, vacant properties. I know here in Toronto, one of the fields is for vacant properties. It's easy for me to search for vacant properties. If it's a first-time buyer, I might say I can get you access to fixer-uppers. So depending on who I'm talking to, I'm picking specific words. So the perception among that buyer is, holy cow, it sounds like Craig's got access to difficult to find properties. Okay, so that's really the essence here. Many of them are getting information in other places. So we cannot simply sound like everybody else. We have to have a spectacular answer when they say, well, I've already got another realtor, my cousin, my uncle, the guy at the open house, the agent that sold us the house 5 years ago. These people are sending me information. Here's what many of your competitors do, by the way. Perhaps this is what you used to do. We would say, oh, okay, I guess you're good then. What do you need me for? Because we're all the same, right? We all go to the same place for information called MLS. So if your cousin, your uncle, your brother, the agent you met at the open house, the agent that sold you the home 5 years ago is sending information, I guess you don't need me. Okay, so we've got to be really, really good with differentiating ourselves. Now, you have to feel comfortable. I do not want any of you to feel uncomfortable with what you're offering, believing in your heart, well, I can't really deliver on that. But the truth is, if I was your buyer that you were speaking to, could you send me a list of bank foreclosures in the area and distress sales and pre-MLS listings and vacant homes? All of you could do that, right? Is it also true that when you and I meet with a buyer, that we could do a better job for the buyer? Is it better for us if the buyer meets with us? Yes, but it's also better for the buyer. We know that's true, but guess what? The buyer also knows it's true if you use the right language. Remember, they're fearful of cost and obligation. Most real estate agents talk about themselves. You should meet with me because I work for a big company. I have 17 years of experience. I'm a top salesperson. I'm really good at what I do. We have to be talking about what's in it for them. The more we focus on what they want, the more we're going to get what you want. All right, let's take a few more questions here.
Okay, Irene's question. How do we handle the question, would you cut your commission?
Well, first of all, buyers usually don't ask that, but I would simply say there's a tremendous difference between real estate agents and what they do and how much they, what they do and how much they charge to get the job done. I would say, Irene, as a buyer, most often you don't pay any commission to work with me. I'm free. If they own a home and they said, well, okay, I understand that, Craig, but I have a house to sell. What commission would you charge me to sell my home? I would say, I don't know. I haven't seen your home yet. What if they said, well, how long do you think it would take you to sell my home, Craig? I don't know. I haven't seen your home yet. Well, how much do you think you could get for my house? Could you get me $750? I don't know. I haven't seen your home yet. See, that covers a lot. We're not trying to sign a buyer up to a contract over the telephone or get a listing signed over the telephone. All we're trying to do is get the meeting. Let's go to Lisa Nash's question. When I get to the buy first offer, the client keeps saying, just send me the list. Of course, that's what they want. Just send me the list. I do feel I do a pretty good job at presenting the offer, but I can't be 100% sure. How do I determine if it's me or just a client who's not a real buyer? Well, the client, Lisa, may be a real buyer, but they may not be a real buyer for you. Does everybody see that? Even difficult prospects, even jerks, end up buying through somebody. But what you're going to have to determine is how much time you want to spend with somebody that is not going to be sincere, and they're going to fight you all the way through the process. And number one, they won't be loyal to you. They won't sign a buyer agency agreement, so you're compensated. To answer your question, Lisa, if it happens a lot, it's you. If it happens every once in a while, it's them. Remember, Lisa's question is I think I'm doing a pretty good job presenting the offer, but how do I determine if it's me or the client? It's frequency. If it happens a lot, it's you. But we can fix it. Even when I did my phone calls and when I met with buyers, I didn't get every buyer to meet with me. Nope. And I didn't get every buyer I met with willing to sign a buyer agency agreement. About 8 out of 10 buyers that I met with and sellers that I met with would sign up, but not all of them. So you might just be meeting with the 1 or 2 out of 10. Let's move on to Jennifer's question. Jennifer says, we were always taught that we need to get the buyers pre-approved before meeting with them. At what stage do we get them pre-approved? Jennifer, this is an excellent question, and I'm so glad you asked it. Can I explain to everybody what I was taught when I got into real estate? I agree with Jennifer. I was taught you need to immediately qualify the buyer before you spend any time with them. In fact, as soon as I would get an ad call or a sign call, here's what I was taught to do. Maybe some of you were taught what I was taught. Andrea, if you were the buyer, you called off a for sale sign. You called off one of the ads I had, the properties I'd advertised. I'd go right into qualification mode. I'd say, Andrea, what's your combined family income? What's your credit history like? What's your job stability like? Are you self-employed? Do you work for somebody else? How long you worked? Now, those are pretty obtrusive questions. But that's what we've been taught to do in this industry, is to go for the throat right away. As soon as you meet a buyer, as soon as you get them on the phone, boom, 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 start asking them all these financial qualifying questions. I think you'd agree that's a huge turnoff to the buyer. It's like, I don't even know you yet. But that's what we've been taught to do as an industry. So I don't do it that way. Here's the way we're going to do it. Once we use the script exactly the way it's laid out, and remember, we're talking about benefit, benefit, benefit. We offer a huge benefit to the buyer, so the buyer agrees to meet with us. Once the buyer verbally agrees to meet with me while I'm still on the telephone, let's say the meeting is for, okay, today's Thursday, let's say it's for Saturday morning. Here's what I would say, Jennifer, if you were my buyer. So you've agreed to meet with me. We're just about to hang up the phone, and I say, hey, Jennifer, one more thing. Have you been pre-qualified for financing? Now remember, I've already got the appointment to meet with you. But Jennifer, have you been pre-qualified for financing? In most cases, the answer is no. I'd say, Jennifer, I can get you qualified for financing, pre-qualified for financing, absolutely free of charge. Now, do you want to know what the buyer's thinking? Who cares? They don't care about the fact that getting pre-qualified for financing is free of charge until or unless they understand the benefit of actually getting pre-qualified. So I'd say, so Jennifer, I can get you pre-qualified absolutely free of charge. And what that means is when we get together on Saturday morning, we'll know exactly what price range you're in. That way we won't waste any time looking at homes above or below your price range. Also, when you're ready to make an offer on a property because you're pre-approved and you have your pre-approval paperwork that will attach to the offer, you carry a bigger stick, and I can probably negotiate a better price for you because you're a pre-qualified buyer versus other buyers we may be competing against. And my lender has access to the lowest interest rates and the lowest down payment home loans. Jennifer, are you going to be around this evening? Say in about a half an hour I could get my lender, Bill, to give you a call. It'll only take about 10 minutes on the phone, and Bill can start working on getting you pre-qualified. Is it okay if I have Bill give you a call? They always say yes. I hang up the phone. I call my lender, Bill. Hey, Bill, could you call Jennifer? I'm supposed to see her Saturday morning at 11 o'clock at my office. Get her pre-qualified. Give me a call back. Let me know how things are going. Boom. Bill hangs up, calls Jennifer, goes through all the pre-qualifying questions, and then Bill, my lender Bill, calls me back, says, hey, Craig, either Jennifer's good to go, she's in this price range, getting her financing won't be a problem, credit history is good, she's worked for IBM for 5 years, or my lender Bill might call me back and say, hey, Jennifer's a little bit of a disaster. She was bankrupt 2 years ago. She doesn't actually make $70,000 like she told you. She makes $40,000 a year. She's self-employed, and she lives in her mother's basement. You probably don't want to meet with Jennifer on Saturday. What I've done is I put her on a 6-month plan, and I'll work with her to see if we can get her some financing in the future. If that's the case, I hang up. I call Jennifer back. Hey, Jennifer, Craig Proctor with ABC Realty. Hey, I just talked to my lender, Bill. And it sounds like you've got some credit issues that Bill's going to help you work out. So we should probably postpone our appointment for Saturday. And Bill's going to work with you over the next couple months to see if we can get the financing in place. And at that time, we can set up another appointment to get together. Does that sound fair? And that's how we do it, Jennifer. But do you notice how we don't go into all the negative pre-qualifying questions from the get-go? You get more bees with honey. So we're going to make the offer, talk about the benefit. Once we have the appointment, while we're still on the phone, then we're going to ask all the pre-qualifying questions. All right, let's go back to Andrea, and we'll take another role play, and then we'll take some more questions.
Okay, we have Michael Garcia with your hand up. Your line is unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, Craig. Hi, Andrea.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right.
How you doing, Michael?
Good morning, guys. Well, this is actually Gerald, and I save Michael. How are you guys doing today?
Jared or Jarrell?
Gerald, Gerald.
Gerald. Okay, Gerald. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to role play. Am I going to be a buyer or a seller prospect?
Yep. I wanted you to be a buyer.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hi, Craig.
This is him.
Hi, Craig. This is Gerald with Garcia Real Estate Team. The reason I'm calling is because I got your request to search homes for sale online using our property search website, findtricityhomes.com. And this is just a courtesy call to let you know that you now have full access to search away. I was hoping that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Great. I was wondering if you were planning on moving in the next 3 to 6 months' time.
Yep, that's the plan. That's why we're looking at houses.
Great. Okay. And are you currently renting or do you only own a home?
We own.
Own it. Okay. Would you be buying a home first before listing your home, or is it going to be the other way around?
I think I want to get it sold first so I know how much money I'm getting and when I'm getting the money. You still there?
He muted himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as you get your home sold, would you be staying in the same area, or do you plan on moving out?
No, we're going to stay here in the area.
All right. And do you have a realtor to help you with that, make that happen?
I'm going to be interviewing a couple of agents when I'm ready.
See, okay. And when exactly do you think this might be?
Well, I'm looking around now and probably do something over the next couple weeks.
Okay, well, that's going to be pretty soon then. All right. Now, would you like a free market evaluation to determine what your home would sell for? Also, we can give you tips on what to do and what not to do to sell your home for the most amount of money. And we can also go over all the various closing costs you will incur, so you will know exactly how much you'll have left in your pocket after all expenses. It's free of charge and obligates you to nothing. Does that sound really helpful?
I have a pretty good idea of what it's worth.
I see. Okay. Well, would you also like to get access to, or would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria from all the real estate companies at the same time? Our list also includes any bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, distressed sales, private listings, pocket listings.
You can send all those. That's good. Send them over.
Okay, great. It's free of charge.
I thought I was already getting that stuff, by the way. I signed up on your site. How come I'm not getting it?
Well, I'm not so sure as to what you're getting, but this one is going to include the
It's your site. It's your site. How come you don't know what I'm getting?
Well, sorry, Craig, you got me there. Sorry.
Okay. I wouldn't say you don't know what I'm getting. What you need to talk about is what I could get by sitting down and talking with you about exactly what you're looking for. What's the problems right now with the way this is set up? Is it possible that you could be sending me homes that don't interest me? Yeah. Is it possible that I could miss out on the perfect one? Yup. Is meeting with you free of charge and no obligation? Yeah. Do both you and the buyer agree that you could probably do a better job if you sat down and talked about this? Yeah. But here's the problem. You're kind of going down the wrong road here. You asked me an important question a few minutes ago. You said, do I want to buy first or sell first? What did I say to you?
Yeah, you want to sell first?
I want to sell first, and you're talking about me buying. That's not where my head's at yet. I said I want to sell my house first. I want to get it sold first so I know how much money I'm going to have in my pocket and when I'm getting it. And here you are talking about going out and looking at houses. There's no use us asking the question, do you want to buy first or sell first, if we're not going to pay attention to the answer.
Right.
So let's go back to the seller offer. Let me hear your seller offer again. Do you want me to refresh your memory where we are? Okay. I said I want to
Yeah.
interview agents. I said I want to stay in the area. I said I want to list my home the next couple weeks. And you asked me if I want to buy first or sell first. I said I want to sell first because I want to know exactly how much I'm getting and when I'm getting the money. So
Okay.
what should you do with me? You want to meet with me, I think, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's hear you do that.
Okay. So my offer would be, would you like a free market evaluation, Craig, to determine what your home would sell for? Also, we can give you tips on what to do and what not to do to sell your home for the most amount of money. And we can also go over all the various closing costs you will incur so you will know exactly how much you'll have left in your pocket after all expenses. It's free of charge and obligates you to nothing. Does that sound helpful?
Okay, now here's what I said to you. I think I know what my house is worth. A lot of them will say that. But your offer was more than just what my house is worth, right?
Right.
Okay, so how are you going to handle that?
Well, I understand you have you have an idea as to what your home would sell for.
An idea, right? But let's confirm and see if that's accurate. Would you like my opinion on it? Plus, what else are you going to do for me when we get together?
Okay, I can give you tips on what to do and what not to do to sell.
Can I tell you why I like that one? Would you agree that for a real estate agent to give the seller advice on what to do and what not to do to prepare their home for sale, it means you got to look at the house. It includes a visit. Like, we can't do that over the phone. You know, they could say, well, quote me a price over the phone, but you can't give a seller, and the seller knows it, advice on what to do to prepare their home for sale, to sell it for the most amount of money, without looking at it. It requires a meeting. How about the net sheet? We can go through a net sheet and determine what all your expenses are going to be and what you're going to have left in your pocket after all these expenses. You could throw in a couple other things too if you want to spice it up, Gerald. How about this? We could talk about timing. Craig, you said you wanted to buy another house. We could talk about timing. When's a good time to do this? Is it actually better to list your home before you buy? Or would it be advantageous to actually maybe look around before you put your home up for sale? So I think you got to beat on that a little, because a lot of sellers are saying, I already know what my house is worth. So that's why the offer has to be more than what is your house worth. Because they don't need us for that anymore, right? Newsflash, sellers know more about what's going on in their neighborhood than we do. So if that's your big offer, hey, I can tell you what your home is worth, and I already know you know more about your neighborhood and what's sold next door than I do, but that's a weak offer. We can't rely on that. We used to be able to rely on that 20 years ago. For the advent of the internet, that was a good offer. I could say to you, hey, Gerald, I am a purveyor of secret information. I know what the homes in your neighborhood sold for, and you don't. So even if you don't like me, you need me. You have to meet with me to get that information. That's not the case anymore. So that's why the offer has to be a wider offer. Anyway, you did a pretty good job there, my man. Thank you for volunteering today.
All right, no problem, Craig. Thanks for the feedback.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to do a couple chat questions before we wrap this up. So let's go through our chat questions here. All right. Brenda is asking, can Craig spend some time as to when we should go for an appointment and when we should not? Well, you have to use your own discretion here, Brenda. Let me say, if it's a buyer, if they're motivated to buy any time in the next year, I want to meet with them. Why? Because we can sign a buyer up to a one-year buyer agency agreement. Who cares when they buy? However, it's not true with a seller. Some of you have heard me say this, right? I do not want to meet with a seller months and months in advance of them listing. I do not. I don't even try to force a listing appointment unless they're within a couple weeks of listing their home, especially when they tell me they've got a very good reason as to why they can't list right now. So if I'm speaking to a seller today that says, hey, we bought new construction, but the closing date's not till next May, or we've been transferred but the transfer is not going to happen until the new year. Or it's a divorce and it's in the courts. Not going to have an answer on this until the new year. There's no way I'm going to try to force an appointment, a listing appointment. Why? Because everything I do will be wrong. What do you mean it'll be wrong? Well, the price will be wrong, right? Whatever price you tell them today in the new year, it's not going to be the same. And how interested is the seller in your listing presentation if they're really not going to be doing anything until next year? How interested are they in listening to all the details of your listing presentation? Answer, not very interested. So in January, when they're ready to list their home for sale, how much have they retained of what you had to say? So you put yourself at a huge disadvantage because now in January they're meeting with other realtors who have top of mind consciousness. Whatever price the other realtors give the seller will be right. All their benefits will be remembered. You'll be long forgotten about. So Brenda, that's my answer. If it's a buyer, they're going to buy anytime the next year, do it. Book the appointment. If it's a seller, keep following up with the seller till they're within shooting distance, within a couple weeks of doing something. Pamela Wise has the next question. Craig, I like the response to the why do we have to meet question that included the 72 fields. Can Craig repeat the 72 fields answer? Well, I don't know how many fields, Pamela, are in your MLS. I just made that number up, but there's a lot of fields, right? So, you know, if you want to be real specific, you could go to your MLS and just count all the fields. So here's what I would say to you, Pamela. If you were fighting me on meeting, so this is when we're going to use this, right, Pamela? If I said to you, you know, when we get together, you know, I talk about all the benefits of getting together, and you fight me on this as you go, Craig, why do we need to meet? Can I just tell you what I'm looking for over the phone? Can I just email you the criteria? And I say to you, well, Pamela, I want to do a good job for you. That softens it a bit. You know, I really want to do a good job for you. And I'm sincere, I do. Rather than me emailing you dozens of homes which may or may not match your criteria, or even worse, you missing out on the perfect home, if we can get together for about 15 minutes, I can take down exactly what you're looking for. Do you know, Pamela, we have 72 fields, 72 questions or criteria that we'll ask you during the meeting. For example, Pamela, would you be interested in a home that has aluminum wiring? Or how about a home that has formaldehyde insulation? Or how about a home that has an oil tank buried in the backyard? See, these are just 3 of the 72 fields. So finding you the perfect home is what this meeting is about. And I really don't want to miss out on something's perfect, but I also don't want to waste your time sending you out looking at properties that you would never really consider. When do you think would be a good time for us to get together? Mornings or afternoons? And by the way, what I just said there is important for you folks that don't want to work in the evenings as much. I made one change. What kind of dummy am I? For years, I used to say, and when's a good time to get together? Days or evenings? Well, when I had kids, I wanted to be with my kids in the evening. So I made one simple change. When would be a good time for us to get together? Mornings or afternoons? Evenings wasn't a choice. And guess what? When forced to, many of them would pick either mornings or afternoons. Now, did that mean I didn't do any appointments in the evenings? Of course I did, because some of them would say, well, I can't meet with you in either the morning or afternoon. It has to be in the evening. But at least I didn't make that offer to everybody. Craig Bush, Coach Craig Bush from Hamilton, Ontario. He says, Craig, please go over the follow-up script of the follow-up after they've been in the system. What offer would you make? I usually leave a message and follow-up email. It's been a while, but I rarely get a response. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what Craig means, so let's see if we can mic him up here. Craig, if you have access to a computer mic, let's see if we can get you on here, and I want to make sure I understand what you're talking about.
Craig, I've got your line open. Craig Bush.
Can you hear me?
Well, is this the lovely Colleen Bush?
Yes, it is. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Colleen.
Yes, I just doing a lot of the follow-up. So these people I've talked to, their timing has been out, a few months or so, and they've been on a drip, either a video drip, whether they're a buyer or a seller. And now it's just another call, but I know every time I leave a message, I know that, there has to be something juicy in order for them to call back. But anyway, just wanting to know if there's anything else that I could be adding, because there's a lot of phone calls and you just want to get the biggest bang for your follow-up phone call.
Okay, so these are prospects you've already spoken to once?
Yes.
Okay, and you're following up with them 2 weeks, 2 months later, whatever.
Exactly.
And, okay, so I don't leave a voicemail message. I continue to follow up with them until I reach them.
Okay.
For that very reason, it's very difficult to get them to call you back.
All right. And I mean, I usually call them back. Some of them, I make a notation that I haven't even talked to them, so they've gotten the report, and there's been several phone calls. So I think I might be just keeping some people that really should be non-cliented then, basically, right?
Well, look, when I would leave a message, especially for someone I've never spoken to, spoken with. When I would leave them a message, I just found very little success at getting them to call me back.
Right.
Now, Coach Lester Cox did come up with something that was kind of intriguing. You know what he did, Colleen? He would call the prospect and he'd say, "Hi, this is Lester Cox from Pacific Arizona Realty," I think is his company, "and I received your request for the whatever, and I'm going to be sending that information out to you. And if you give me a call back before 5 o'clock today, I can give you I'll give you a certificate for $1,000 off your closing costs. But please give me a call before 5 o'clock today. My phone number is."
Wow.
Now the condition on the $1,000 off the closing costs is, of course, you'd have to buy a home through Lester.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I guess I know sometimes when I don't get a hold of them after the 7th try, I'll just say, "Hi, it's Colleen. Give me a call." My phone number for those ones, and occasionally that you get something.
Well, let's talk about this. I think we'd all agree that leaving a message is sort of a last resort. So I'd like to change gears and talk about, well, what are we doing to actually reach them?
All right.
How creative? What are we doing actually to reach the prospect so we don't have to leave a message?
Yeah. Well, calling a few times a day and then continuing on. Again, at this time of year, sometimes they're on holidays for a week, so they're in the system getting daily calls for a couple of weeks. And then at that point, if I haven't reached them, then I put them on to Future in Top Producer. They're on a drip, so they will get, like if they're a buyer, I'll put them on a buyer drip. And then I make another phone call for a month down the road just to touch base, again, we've sent you the list, how are your plans coming along? And so it's kind of a little more personalized message based on whether I did get a hold of them, and 75% I will get a hold of the people, and then the rest it's just a message kind of just to see whether I need to delete them or not delete them, but non-client them.
Okay, but when you're calling them back, what phone number are you calling them on?
Okay, I use my cell phone.
Okay, and it says your name on it.
That's right.
Okay, so when they look at their caller ID, they see your name. Mm-hmm. And you call, and it goes to voicemail. And do you leave a message, or you don't leave a message?
No, I don't leave a message. I will at least do 8 phone calls before I leave a message. And at that point, I figure, I'll just say, "Hey, by the way, we sent you the list that you're looking for a couple of weeks ago. Just wanted to make sure that you did it. You did get it. It didn't go into your trash. And again, we're here to help you. We're a real estate resource. If there's anything we can help you with your plans, just give us a shout, and we look forward to hearing from you." So that's kind of just a very soft, "we're here for you," you got
and we know how that works, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Okay. So we probably shouldn't keep doing something that we know doesn't work. So let's talk about other things that you could do to actually reach the prospects.
Okay.
Right now, your standard practice is you call them on your cell phone, and if I was the prospect, it would say Colleen Bush on my caller ID, and I might say, I don't know a Colleen Bush, so I let it go to voicemail.
Right.
So let me ask everyone that. When you folks get a call at home, okay, or on your cell phone, how many of you use caller ID that way? Right? What do we have caller ID for? Because we look at the name, and if we don't know the name, what do? We let it go to voicemail. That's why we have caller ID. So this is why I made all my calls from my home office. Okay? Now, I hit *67 before the call, before I dial the number. And it comes up as either private caller or unknown caller, I can't remember. And when I get voicemail, so if I was calling you, Colleen, it goes to voicemail, I hang up, I call right back again. Curiosity gets them.
Okay.
Okay. Now, especially if you have kids. You have kids, right, Colleen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when your kids are young and the phone rings and it goes to voicemail and there's a call right away, a lot of people are like, okay, this must be important. I don't know, maybe it's my kids, who knows. So that's one technique I used. The other technique is not calling them at the same time every day. Most of us call our prospects back Monday to Friday between 9 and 5. We have to assume most people that want to buy or sell real estate have jobs. So not everyone can take personal calls at work. So the people I can't reach during the day, if I type into my contact manager, voicemail, and that was at 10 after 12, then I know not to call them tomorrow at 10 after 12. I'm going to try to call them at several different times for several different days. So those are some of the techniques I would use. And you might want to, and if I'm calling them from home, by the way, and I can't reach them, then I'll call them from my cell number.
Right.
There was another cool thing I had to, back in the day, and I don't know if they have this anymore, Colleen, there was a company called London Telecom. And it was a long distance, I don't even know if it exists anymore, but I didn't need it for its long distance deal. But the reason I used it is I could call into this phone number, and then you would enter the phone number of the person you really wanted to call, and guess what would come up on the prospect's phone? London Telecom. So there was lots of interesting things I did. I'm happy to share all that with you, but the key here is to try lots of different things. There will be no one strategy, but I was pretty persistent. I'm going to go out there on a limb and say that I got a hold of a much higher percentage of my prospects than most of you do because of persistence, because I scheduled a perfect week, which meant Monday evenings and Thursday evenings were always, always, always reserved for calling back people I couldn't reach during the day, and Saturday mornings. Why was I so persistent, and why did I block out this time? Because I knew that leaving a message didn't really work very well at all. Right. That's why we call it a Hail Mary.
Mm-hmm. So I guess, we have, so many leads, and I just don't want them to go to waste. So like I'm still, I follow up with, everything, all the brand new ones, and go through that. But these are engaged in future, so it's following up with a follow-up. So, they're people that we have talked to, and is there anything else just to, I sometimes I'm almost tempted to do just a voice blast, an AMS, But
yeah, look, once you've given up on calling them, because there's some that I would give up. It's like, okay, I've called this person 18 times, several different times, like at different times during the day for weeks, and I can't reach them. So now it's a Hail Mary. It's like, I'm not going to call this guy anymore. Now it'll be voice blasts, or it'll be my newsletter. Maybe I'll email them if I have their email address. Just as long as we understand, have the right expectations, none of that is going to work near as well as actually reaching them. But if you can't reach them, and some of them you'll never reach and you'll never hear from, and that's frankly why we need to generate so many leads, because some of them are better than others.
Okay.
Right. And on the same follow-up line, would this be something like as I go through some of them and they're unavailable. So what is the key whenever, like, yesterday every person I called, they said they're not unavailable. So I'm just curious, does that mean that their phone isn't hooked up? Does that mean that they've blocked my number? Or, I'm just curious because, I put that in the notes and obviously
Well, I would definitely try to call them from a different phone number.
Okay.
Okay,
well,
so look at what I've said here today. I would call them from my home number. I could call them from my home number, but star 67 in front of the phone number. I could call them from my calling to London Telecom, enter the phone number there, it would come up as London Telecom, or I could use my cell number, or I could call them from the office. So I had all these different ways I could call them. And I would use all those different ways. I would exhaust all that in trying to reach somebody.
Okay,
but
so
you're using one way.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's because of my number that potentially it could be blocked. But all right, I will.
Well, if they won't answer to Colleen Bush, how about will they answer to private caller?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which is star 67.
Star 67.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right. Say hi to Craig.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Craig,
hey, let's go back to our, yes?
Before we move on, it's a little past my top of the hour notice, but I would like to remind everyone of our marketing clinic tomorrow and how
yes, this is very important. Go ahead, Andrea.
it is so important that you join us tomorrow, same time, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific, on the marketing clinic. Every Friday we hold this session, and it's very important also that you load your marketing and your results so we can critique that for you. So I'll let you take it from there, Craig.
Thank you very much. So let me repeat that just to emphasize the importance of Andrea's point. Tomorrow's the big day. We hear from some of you that are starting to generate leads that are newer with the program. You should all be generating leads. So that's what tomorrow is about. So either send us in your ads to be critiqued or show up and pay attention as we critique other people's ads. You're going to be looking at ads from members that have been in the program for years and those that are fairly new. Andrea and I will pick out a cross-section of marketing. Might be Facebook, might be Google, might be print, might be print breaks down to newspapers, magazines, direct mail. Could be outdoor advertising, could be radio, could be TV. We're going to look at all of it tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. Back to a couple more questions before we wrap it up. Laura Sweeney makes a really great remark here. Laura says, I've noticed that most people asking their questions to Craig, when they're asking their question, they really don't have a lot of confidence. And tone is everything. Can he address that? Yes. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Laura, I had an inside sales agent that worked for me for not too long. And the reason she didn't work for me for too long is because she didn't believe in her offer. Now, this lady that worked for me, this inside sales agent, she was very consistent because she got nowhere with everybody. And I was determined after a week or two to figure out why that was. So here I am, I'm sitting at the RE/MAX office, and I'm making my calls, and the walls are paper thin, so I can hear my ISA making her calls. And I notice, yes, she's using the script, but it's like how she's talking. The tonality was very bad. She would introduce herself and ask, am I calling at a bad time? When I sat down and I talked to her about her lack of confidence. You know what she said to me? She said, well, if I was a buyer, I would never agree to come in and meet with a real estate agent. That says an awful lot right there. There's an old saying in sales. There's a couple old sayings. Here's the first one. That the first sale that every salesperson must make is to themselves. I'll repeat that again so you can write it down. The first sale that every salesperson must make is to themselves. You see, my ISA did not believe in her offer. She didn't personally believe in it. And because she didn't believe in it, she couldn't convince anyone else to believe in it. The next quote comes from Zig Ziglar. Timid salespeople have skinny kids. Actually, my kids are pretty skinny, so it might not be true because I'm not timid. Let's go back and look at a couple more questions before we wrap it up here. I don't know why I'm stuttering now, Andrea, but I am. This is a remark, I guess, from Jeff Fairchild. I never sold a house out of 1,000 leads to someone that I didn't talk to, but I went ahead anyway and put them on a drip of houses. Yeah, if you don't talk to them first, I mean, I don't know if I never sold a house to someone I didn't talk to, but it's you know, if you can't reach them on the phone, if you can't speak to them, let's face it, you can't use the universal callback script. If you can't use the universal callback script, you can't qualify them using the qualifying questions, and you can't make an offer, and you can't get an appointment. Jennifer says you can also get a Google Voice phone number, and it's free. I think that's very important for us to try many different methods. Like, let's not give up, right? Let's not call them once and then give up. I've had inside sales agents like that, by the way. Yeah, we followed up, Craig. We tried them once. We tried to call them at 11 o'clock in the morning. They didn't answer, so that's it. That was their idea of follow-up. Frank Daniels is asking, regarding the universal callback script, is it wise to preference it by asking if the client has ever worked with a realtor, advising you'd like to set the correct expectation? I don't think you have to go there. I never did. Did I really care if they'd ever worked with an agent or not? Not really. Here's one from Alexandra. Alexandra says, what if the prospect says they will call you back to set a time for an appointment, and when you ask when, if they say something like tomorrow and they don't, you can call them back again because it's kind of reversed permission marketing. They said they'd call you. Yeah, absolutely. They said they'd call you, and you're calling them back. So absolutely, Alexandra, if the prospect says, well, gee, Craig, I can't set an appointment with you now because I have to check my work schedule or I have to speak to my spouse. How about we'll call you tomorrow, and they don't call me? Absolutely, I'm going to call them back. Hey, Alexandra. Hey, look, I didn't hear from you yesterday, and I just wanted to follow up to see if we could still set a time to get together. Absolutely, I'm going to call them back. Okay, I think that's about it. We're out of time anyway. Hope everyone enjoyed this today. If you did, let me know that you enjoyed it. If not, remember, silence is golden. Tomorrow, the ad clinic. So Andrew and I will be working all afternoon on uploading ads as they come in, and that'll be a good one as we critique your lead generation. So I want to thank everybody for being with us this morning on the role play. Remember the helpline on Monday as well. Get your questions ready. Any questions we haven't covered this week. It's all about your questions on Monday morning. So I want to thank Andrea for doing a great job as always, and thank all of you who participated and everybody that was on the call. I want to thank all of you for being Craig Proctor members. So that's it for today. Take care, and we'll speak to everybody tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a wonderful afternoon.